We thought we were watching two people struggle to save their love. But the agonizing truth is, we were watching a family get completely destroyed for a calculated lie. For 9 long years, the world watched Sidora and Ralph Pittman, hoping and praying they would survive the storm. But tonight, the illusion has shattered into a million painful pieces. Ralph has finally broken his silence, and what he's revealing isn't just a bitter divorce. It is an absolute heartbreaking tragedy. With raw devastation, Ralph has exposed the darkest secret behind their closed doors, claiming that their entire sacred bond, their vows and their love were nothing but a cold, pre-planned, scripted relationship. Imagine the sheer agony of realizing that the tears were orchestrated, the fights were planned, and the innocent eyes of their own children were used as mere pawns just to build a fake storyline. Ralph refuses to protect this nightmare any longer. The fake smiles are gone, the truth is out, and what's left in the shadows is a broken home, shattered trust, and a devastating betrayal that will leave you in absolute tears. Sit tight, because the terrifying reality of what happened when the doors finally closed is about to completely break your heart. To truly understand the weight of this devastating collapse, we have to look back at the foundation that everyone believed was real. When Sidora first shared her life alongside Ralph Pittman, the world saw a couple facing extreme, relatable marital struggles. They were the couple people rooted for, the ones who represented the messy, complex reality of trying to keep a family together against all odds. For nearly a decade, every single high and low was documented. We watched them navigate severe communication breakdowns, deep-rooted trust issues, and moments of intense emotional distance that left viewers weeping for them. Every single tear that fell from Drew's eyes felt like a genuine cry for help, a desperate plea from a wife trying to save her husband from drifting away. But as the years went on, the cracks in the armor began to show in ways that left people deeply uncomfortable. There were moments that felt so incredibly painful, so heavy with tension, that it seemed impossible for any relationship to endure them behind closed doors. Remember the infamous, agonizing incident where Ralph packed his bags and vanished to Tampa for days without telling his wife? The sheer panic, the vulnerability, and the heartbreaking confusion that Drew displayed captured the hearts of millions. People felt her pain. They stayed glued to their screens, waiting to see if this marriage could ever heal from such a sudden, traumatic breach of trust. We thought we were witnessing the raw, unfiltered truth of a modern marriage on the brink of disaster. But according to the shocking new details Ralph is bringing to light, that sympathy was built on a foundation of pure deception. Ralph is now completely flipping the narrative, suggesting that what the public witnessed wasn't a marriage in crisis, but a carefully curated performance designed to manipulate your emotions. The very moments that made you cry, the arguments that kept you up at night, and the toxic dynamics that sparked endless debates were allegedly plotted out behind closed doors. The terrifying truth he is hinting at is that the vulnerability was manufactured. Every dramatic exit, every tearful confrontation, and every sudden reconciliation was part of an agreed-upon direction to maximize impact, keeping their names in the headlines while their actual personal lives burned to the ground. This realization is where the true tragedy lies. It implies that while the audience was investing their genuine emotions, sympathy, and prayers into this family, the reality inside that home was a cold, transactional business arrangement. The warmth of a genuine marriage had long been replaced by a calculated effort to maintain a specific public image. Imagine living a double life where your private pain is used as currency, where a husband and a wife look at each other not as partners, but as co-stars in a tragic, ongoing drama. Ralph's stunning revelations have stripped away the final layers of empathy, exposing a dark reality where nothing was sacred, not even the peace of their own home. As we peel back these layers, the details only get more harrowing, revealing just how far things went before the final, explosive breaking point. Behind the scenes, the pressure to maintain this illusion began to erode whatever genuine affection they had left. Friends and family members close to the couple reportedly noticed a sharp contrast between how they behaved when they knew they were being watched versus when they were left to their own devices. The constant need to perform, to amplify every minor disagreement into a massive, earth-shattering conflict for the sake of a storyline, eventually created a toxic cycle from which neither could escape. They became trapped in a prison of their own making, where the line between what was real and what was completely fabricated blurred beyond recognition. Ralph claims that this constant state of performance is what ultimately broke him, forcing him to live in a state of emotional dishonesty that grew heavier with each passing day. For Drew, the narrative was allegedly about control and survival. In a world where public perception determines your success, keeping the audience emotionally attached to her heartbreak was a powerful tool. But Ralph's decision to finally tear down the curtain has exposed the ultimate cost of that strategy. It wasn't just a television show. It was their actual life, their shared history, and the foundation upon which they were raising their children. By turning their private struggles into a scripted spectacle, they sacrificed the one thing that could have saved them: absolute honesty. Now, with the truth laid bare, the fallout is radiating through their lives, leaving a trail of broken promises, mutual resentment, and a legacy of deceit that can never be undone. The core of this devastating betrayal lies in the specific, calculated mechanics of how this scripted relationship was carried out day after day. According to the shocking details emerging from Ralph Pittman, the deception wasn't just limited to major arguments. It extended to the very fabric of their daily interactions. When the doors finally closed and the world stopped watching, the atmosphere inside their home reportedly shifted from fiery passion to an icy, transactional silence. Ralph alleges that Drew Sidora treated their entire marriage like a high-stakes business partnership where every emotional breakdown had a price tag and a specific purpose. The heavy conversations that left audiences weeping were not spontaneous bursts of marital frustration. They were allegedly discussed, rehearsed, and timed perfectly to ensure maximum emotional impact on the public. This corporate approach to intimacy meant that any genuine chance at healing their deep-rooted issues was completely sacrificed for public leverage. Ralph claims that whenever they faced a real, authentic disagreement behind closed doors, Drew would immediately pivot to how that conflict could be utilized as a compelling storyline. The heartbreaking reality is that their real-life pain was never allowed to heal naturally because it was constantly being mined for content. Imagine the profound emotional exhaustion of trying to connect with a spouse who views your deepest vulnerabilities merely as strategic assets for a script. Ralph paints a picture of a household where authenticity was actively discouraged, and where showing real, unscripted love was seen as a wasted opportunity. But the most agonizing aspect of this entire revelation is how their innocent children were dragged into this manufactured chaos. Ralph is dropping the ultimate bomb by claiming that the emotional well-being of their family was secondary to keeping the public hooked on their toxic dynamic. In any normal marriage, parents do everything in their power to shield their young children from the trauma of screaming matches and parental estrangement. But in this house, Ralph alleges that the children's innocent confusion and tears were treated as perfect background elements to make the marital breakdown look more authentic and devastating to the world. To think that a mother and a father could look into the eyes of their hurting children and continue to play characters for a pre-planned script is a level of cold calculation that is causing fans to completely break down in tears. As these dark details leak out, the sheer hypocrisy of their public personas becomes impossible to ignore. For years, Drew positioned herself as the long-suffering, deeply faithful wife who was desperately trying to hold her family together against a cold, emotionally detached husband. She garnered an army of loyal supporters who defended her honor and condemned Ralph for his erratic behavior, like his sudden, unannounced departures and defensive attitude. But Ralph's new claims suggest that his infamous defensive nature wasn't born out of guilt, but out of sheer frustration from being forced to play the villain in a script he no longer wanted to follow. He was trapped in a narrative where he was systematically painted as the bad guy, all while knowing that the entire setup was a coordinated illusion designed to make Drew look like the ultimate victim. The financial reality behind this scripted setup makes the betrayal feel even more sinister. A marriage built on love can survive financial hardship, but a relationship built entirely on a business deal will inevitably collapse when the debts pile up. With reports of massive legal fees mounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars and bitter battles over child support orders, the transactional nature of their bond has finally exploded into the public view. Ralph's revelations imply that the moment the scripted relationship stopped being profitable, the contract was torn up, leaving behind a messy legal war zone. The fake smiles have completely melted away, replaced by an ugly scramble for financial control and mutual destruction. The deep, agonizing truth is that there was never a marriage to save, only an elaborate, highly profitable illusion that has finally run its course, leaving a family completely shattered in its wake. The devastation of this unraveling contract has now spilled directly into the legal system, exposing the ugliest, most calculated layers of this entire tragedy. According to recent court filings and inner circle leaks, the messy aftermath of Sidora and Ralph Pittman's split has escalated into a brutal financial and legal war zone that confirms the purely transactional nature of their bond. The public is watching in absolute shock as the legal fees alone have reportedly skyrocketed past $400,000, a staggering sum that represents the absolute destruction of their shared wealth. This is no longer a quiet, sorrowful parting of ways between two heartbroken individuals. It has transformed into a cold, ruthless scramble to bleed each other dry, using the legal system to settle scores that were once buried deep within their scripted household. At the very center of this legal nightmare is a fierce, heartbreaking battle over custody and child support orders that has completely alienated their supporters. For years, fans believed that regardless of how toxic their marriage became, both parents were fiercely united in protecting their children. But the new court updates paint a completely different, chilling picture. Ralph is pushing back aggressively against Drew's demands, alleging that the financial requests being made in court are not about the actual well-being of the children, but are instead a desperate attempt by Drew to maintain the lavish lifestyle she portrayed on screen. To hear allegations that child support figures are being manipulated as a weapon of financial revenge is a devastating blow to anyone who rooted for this family. It shows a complete disregard for the emotional safety of the children, who are now caught directly in the crossfire of their parents' mutual hatred. Furthermore, the details regarding their shared debts and hidden accounts have exposed a level of backstabbing that nobody saw coming. Court documents suggest that while the cameras were capturing tearful conversations about trust, both Sidora and Ralph Pittman were secretly securing financial assets away from each other, preparing for the inevitable day the contract would end. Ralph alleges that Drew was funneling money into private accounts while simultaneously demanding that he fund their entire public existence, trapping him in a mountain of debt just to keep up appearances. This level of financial betrayal implies that the marriage wasn't just a scripted storyline for the public. It was an active, manipulative game where one partner was quietly planning the other's financial ruin while pretending to pray for their marriage on national television. The fallout from these terrifying revelations has triggered a massive, polarizing wave of public backlash that is tearing their fan base apart. For the longest time, the narrative was simple. Ralph was the villain and Drew was the innocent victim. But now, as the curtain is violently torn down, the public sentiment is shifting into a state of profound disgust and confusion. People are flooding social media, expressing deep sadness and anger over how easily their genuine empathy was exploited for ratings. Fans who once cried for Drew are now questioning every single tear she ever shed, wondering if they were complicit in a massive hoax. The sheer weight of this collective realization is causing an unprecedented drop-off in public support for both parties, as the world realizes that in this tragic game of clout, there are absolutely no heroes, only victims of a deeply toxic ambition. What makes this final stage of their collapse so incredibly dark is the total absence of remorse from either side. As they continue to trade bitter insults through legal representatives and leaked press statements, it is abundantly clear that the warmth of a genuine family has been permanently erased, replaced by a cold, hollow desire for total victory. They are willing to tear down their own legacy, compromise their financial future, and expose their children's private pain to the entire world just to avoid losing the final argument. The devastating truth is now laid bare for everyone to see. The script has finally ended, the cameras have gone dark, and the only thing left standing is a hollowed-out home built on a foundation of calculated lies, leaving a trail of absolute heartbreak that can never ever be repaired. We thought we were watching two people desperately struggle to save their love. But the agonizing truth is, we were watching a family get completely destroyed for a calculated lie. For 9 long years, the world watched Sidora and Ralph Pittman, hoping and praying they would survive the storm. But tonight, the illusion has shattered into a million painful pieces. Ralph has finally broken his silence, and what he's revealing isn't just a bitter divorce update. It is an absolute, heartbreaking tragedy. With raw devastation, Ralph has exposed the darkest secret behind their closed doors, claiming that their entire sacred bond, their vows and their love were nothing but a cold, pre-planned, scripted relationship. Imagine the sheer agony of realizing that the tears were orchestrated, the fights were planned, and the innocent eyes of their own children were used as mere pawns just to build a fake storyline. Ralph refuses to protect this nightmare any longer. The fake smiles are gone, the truth is out, and what's left in the shadows is a broken home, shattered trust, and a devastating betrayal that will leave you in absolute tears. Every single tearful confrontation that broke your heart was allegedly mapped out before the cameras even started rolling. The agonizing moments of vulnerability were nothing more than a strategic business deal, a cold transaction designed to exploit your genuine empathy while their actual personal lives burned to the ground. 4 years. One was painted as the ultimate villain while the other played the long-suffering victim, but this new exposure changes absolutely everything. Sit tight because the terrifying reality of what happened when the doors finally closed is about to completely break your heart.